Are you expecting me to eat this junk? My sister-in-law asked sharply when I placed a plate of food in front of her. I had cooked pasta for both of us, hoping for a peaceful meal. Before I could even respond, she added, "This is disgusting," and, without hesitation, threw the entire plate of food into the trash. I stood there, stunned. "What are you doing?" I asked, my anger rising. "If it's inedible, it's trash," she said, smirking as she grabbed the instant noodles she had clearly planned to eat. What she didn't know was that this moment would change everything for her. I'm Carolyn, 35 years old, and I'm a housewife. My husband Graham and I live with our 2 young children. Our first son was born shortly after we married, and 2 years later, our second son joined the family. They're now 6 and 4 years old. Graham and I met at a party thrown by a friend. At the time, I was a nurse and he was a doctor. We laughed about how we met, not in a hospital, but at a party. Having similar professions made it easy to connect. Although he's 3 years older than me, Graham has a youthful spirit. We hit it off immediately and had deep, interesting conversations. His confidence and reliability only drew me closer to him. We started dating, married a year later, and quickly had our first child, continuing to build a life together. I left my job to focus on raising our children and taking care of our home, while Graham worked hard to support us. He's always been kind and thankful. "Thanks for keeping everything in order, Carolyn. I can work without worrying because you handle the house," he often says, making me feel truly appreciated. On his days off, he helps with the kids too, and I'm grateful for him. Our loving relationship has been a great foundation for our children, who are growing up well. Our apartment eventually became too small, so we decided to build our own house before our oldest son started school. We visited real estate agents, explored different properties, and discussed what we wanted for our new home. Once we had a clear picture of what we wanted, we began the process of building it. During our New Year's visit to my in-laws, we shared the news about our new house. They then revealed they were also planning to move. "We're getting older," my father-in-law Stanley said. "Instead of staying here, we're thinking about moving into a more comfortable senior facility." They planned to sell their home, but the place they wanted to move into had a waiting list of 6 months. Graham then suggested, "Since we won't move into our new house for 6 months, why don't we all stay here for a while? That way, we can help if you need anything, and it'll save us on rent. Plus, the kids are cramped in our apartment, and this house has plenty of space for them." The idea was accepted, so we moved in with my in-laws. We canceled our apartment lease, packed up, and made the transition. "Thank you, Sage and Stanley, for letting us stay here," I said. "It's our pleasure," my mother-in-law Sage responded warmly. "Grandma, Grandpa, let's play," the kids yelled excitedly. "I can't wait to join you," I laughed. "Sure, but let's put our stuff away first," Graham said with a smile. The kids were thrilled with the extra space and eager to be around their grandparents. They quickly set up their rooms upstairs and then ran outside to play in the yard. Graham and I watched them with contentment. Our new home, which would be ready in 6 months, also had a big yard, and I knew the kids would love it just as much. While I was thinking about this, I saw a figure by the window. Before I could make out who it was, the person yelled, "Quiet down, I'm trying to sleep." The loud voice startled the kids, and they froze. I was speechless. The person yelling was a woman in messy sweatpants with tangled hair. Graham approached her, upset. "Sis, what are you doing? Why are you yelling at the kids?" he asked. "The nerve of you to show up and make noise." "I'm trying to sleep," she snapped. It was Sloane, my sister-in-law. I hadn't seen her since our wedding and assumed she lived alone since she wasn't at the in-laws during the new year. Apparently, she had been living there all along. "Enough, Sloane, no more of this," Stanley said, scolding her. She retreated to her room, but the kids were too scared to continue playing outside, so they came back inside. "I'm sorry about that. Your aunt is just a little quick-tempered," Stanley apologized. "It's not your fault," I reassured the kids. "You should be able to play outside." Stanley tried to calm the kids, and then Sage offered, "I'm making some snacks and tea, why don't we all have some?" The kids, forgetting the earlier incident, eagerly washed their hands and prepared for a snack. Meanwhile, Graham asked his parents about Sloane. "Doesn't she ever leave the house?" he wondered. "She's been staying here for years," Sage explained with a sigh. "She worked part-time for a while, but quit after some trouble at work. She's been keeping to herself since then." Apparently, Sloane had been avoiding us all this time, which explained why we hadn't seen her. But now that we were living under the same roof, avoiding each other was no longer an option. Her outburst at the kids had me concerned, and I began to feel uneasy about the living arrangement. When dinner time came, Sloane didn't come down to eat with us. Graham asked, "Should we call her?" "She doesn't want to eat with us," Stanley replied. "This has been her routine for a while. She waits until we're done eating and then comes down." It seemed like Sloane was isolating herself entirely, while some people prefer solitude. Her outburst earlier worried me. Neither Graham nor I knew how to handle the situation, especially since we had barely interacted with her. "Sorry about all this," Graham said to me. I knew it was only temporary, but I steeled myself for the difficulties ahead. The next day, after the kids went to kindergarten and Graham left for work, Sloane finally got up around noon and came into the living room. She looked surprised when she saw me. "Why are you here?" she asked. Before I could respond, she asked again, "You're still staying here?" I realized she might not have been told about our arrangement. "Didn't Sage and Stanley tell you?" I asked. "Tell me what?" she replied. I decided to explain. "We just moved in yesterday. We're staying here for a while," I said. "Yes, Sloane, I hope we can get along," I added politely. Sloane's face twisted with anger. "What? I didn't know about this. You just showed up, and now we're living together? Get out right now," she yelled. Her outburst shocked me again. Sage rushed over, alarmed by the commotion. "What's going on, Sloane? Why are you so upset?" Sage asked. "Mom, what's this about living together? You can't just decide this," Sloane ranted. "I don't want to live with this woman and her noisy kids." I felt a surge of anger but kept calm. "I'm sorry, Sloane, we'll try not to cause any trouble. Please bear with us," I said, bowing my head. But Sloane wasn't finished. "You think you're better than me, don't you? Just because you married a doctor," she sneered. "Stop it, Sloane," my mother-in-law interjected. "Don't talk to Carolyn like that. You probably wish I was never born, and only Graham was your child," Sloane spat. "That's not true. Why do you think like this?" Sage said, upset. "Don't underestimate me. I know when you're lying." Sloane stormed off, grabbing instant noodles, before retreating to her room. Upstairs, Sage sighed deeply and turned to me. "I'm so sorry, Carolyn. Ever since she failed her university entrance exam, she's been like this. She was always sensitive, and after that, things spiraled. She had a hard time connecting with her classmates, and now she has all these paranoid thoughts," Sage explained. "Is that so?" I said, surprised. "She even quit a backup university she got into, saying it wasn't the right fit. We've tried to encourage her to work part-time, but she quits almost immediately. She jumps from job to job, and even the one part-time job she stuck with for a while, she abruptly left one day and hasn't been the same since. Stanley and I are getting older, and we no longer have the energy to argue. We don't know what to do anymore." My mother-in-law, Sage, sighed. Hearing her frustration left me shocked. Was Sloane really such a problem? My husband had mentioned that Sloane was sensitive and hard to deal with, but I didn't realize how bad it had gotten, especially since he didn't know she was still living here. The in-laws probably didn't want to burden him with this, which is why they hadn't told him the full story. Realizing how serious the situation was, I suggested that we all sit down together to talk about it, my husband, the in-laws, and me. Sage agreed, and that evening, we had a serious discussion about Sloane. My husband was taken aback by how deep the issue ran. "We need to do something quickly," he said, clearly concerned. "First, we need to understand why Sloane keeps quitting her jobs. If we figure out why, maybe we can solve this." He went straight to Sloane's room to talk to her. "Hey, can we talk?" he asked. "What is it?" "I'm busy," Sloane replied dismissively. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to talk," Graham said, trying to approach her gently. At first, Sloane was cold and defensive, but eventually, she began to speak. "It's always someone else's fault, never mine," she mumbled. "I see, that sounds tough," Graham said, listening patiently. When he came out, he seemed exhausted. I asked her about the job she quit. He explained, "She just blames others, never takes responsibility," but as I listened, it seemed like most of the problems were caused by her own actions. "That's rough," I said, feeling the weight of the situation. Still, I was glad Sloane had started to open up a little. Despite his busy schedule, Graham continued to communicate with Sloane, even on his days off, trying to help her. Slowly, Sloane began to join us at the dinner table when the family gathered, and the in-laws were pleased. "Sloane, would you like some rice?" I asked. "Yes, please. We have chicken today," It's really good. Let me give you one of Dad's pieces, Graham added. Thank you, Sloane replied, her voice softer than before. It was nice to see the in-laws happy interacting with her. The kids, who had been wary of Sloane, were now eating their meals without feeling intimidated. Good job, Graham, I said, appreciating his efforts. He sighed. Well, this is just the first step. There's still a lot to be done to help Sloane become independent, especially since we and the in-laws won't be living with her much longer. Sloane started to come downstairs more often and began interacting with the children. I saw this as a positive sign, but things weren't entirely smooth. One evening, as I was helping with dinner, Sloane muttered, "Your cooking is awful, Carolyn, and you're not even pretty. How did you manage to seduce Graham? Did you use your body? You seem like the kind of woman who always gets guys, even though you're unattractive. That's you." It seemed she couldn't help but put others down. I was furious, but I kept my calm, reminding myself that I didn't have to deal with this much longer. Things escalated even further. One day, when Sage was at the hospital and Stanley was out with friends, I was left alone with Sloane at lunchtime. "I'm hungry, Carolyn. Make me something," she ordered. I made pasta for both of us, but when she saw it, she immediately criticized it. "This looks horrible," she said. Then, to my shock, she grabbed the plate and threw my cooking in the trash. I couldn't stay silent anymore. "What are you doing? You can't just throw food away like that," I exclaimed. Sloane smirked. "If it's not edible, then it's just trash. If I can't eat it, I have to throw it out." She then grabbed some instant noodles from the cupboard, clearly preferring them to what I had cooked. That was the last straw. I had been patient, hoping she would improve, but I realized she wasn't going to change. Later that night, I shared what had happened with my husband and the in-laws, and we all agreed that we couldn't keep enabling Sloane's behavior anymore. Our new house was nearly finished, and the in-laws had already arranged a place in a senior facility. We decided it was time to move forward with our plans and start packing. A month later, on moving day, the movers were busy clearing out our old house. As the furniture was being taken away, Sloane came downstairs, looking groggy. "Why's it so noisy this morning? What's going on?" she asked. "We're moving to our new house," my husband replied. "Oh, really? Wait, why is the fridge gone? I was about to have some milk." "Are you stealing it?" Sloane asked, clueless. "We sold it," Sage answered, frustrated. "Sold it? Why?" Sloane asked, genuinely confused. "We're moving too. We're going somewhere else," Sage explained. Sloane didn't seem bothered by the news. "Oh, you're moving? Well, you should have told me." No warning, no discussion. Dad and Mom are always like this, forgetful. "Anyway, make sure to pack my stuff too," she ordered, strangely cheerful. "Sloane," my husband said calmly, "where are you going?" "Huh?" Sloane looked confused. "What do you mean, where?" "Obviously, you're going wherever Mom and Dad are going," my husband replied, not understanding her question. When she said this, Stanley sighed heavily. "No, we're going to a retirement home. We're not living with you anymore," he explained firmly. "What? I didn't know about this," Sloane protested. "It's because of how you treated Carolyn," Stanley said, his voice hardening. "We've always tried to support you, even though we didn't know how to handle you. We've tried to help you become independent, but after everything, especially the way you've treated Carolyn, we've decided we can no longer help you." Sloane looked stunned. "I can't manage on my own. I can't live here by myself," she panicked. "We're not leaving this house to you. We've already sold it. You need to pack your things and leave," Stanley said coldly. "But I'll be homeless," Sloane exclaimed. "Yes, that's right," Stanley replied. "Wait, that's too much. You have to take care of your child," she protested. "Enough, stop acting like a child at 30, Stanley said, his voice stern. "We've made arrangements for you. You'll be going to my brother's farm." "Wait, a farm in the countryside?" Sloane said, surprised. "Yes, that's right. You can go anytime, but you'll have to work in the fields," Stanley explained. "I can't do that. I won't survive," Sloane resisted. "Then your only other choice is homelessness," Stanley said bluntly. Sloane collapsed, then turned to my husband, pleading, "Graham, please take me with you. Let me live with you at your new house." I was stunned by her audacity. Graham looked at her coldly and said, "I'll never forgive you for what you've done to my wife. I'm cutting ties with you. Don't ever come near us again." We left Sloane behind and headed to our new home. A while later, We heard that Sloane had gone to Stanley's brother's farm. The remote location, with its limited entertainment and poor internet connection, made her life there incredibly hard. She had no choice but to work on the farm every day, which we felt was fitting, given her previous behavior. The in-laws settled into a comfortable retirement home, and our new house was everything we'd hoped for. Our children loved running around the big yard, and we were finally able to enjoy our lives without the constant tension. It felt like a fresh start for all of us. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.